Hello, everyone. This is Rachel Weaver. I'm here with Jenny Shank. She and I are making a series of videos today in which she is reviewing books for Lighthouse. Jenny teaches at Lighthouse. She also teaches in the MFA program at Regis. She has been a professional book reviewer for over 20 years. She's reviewed over 1,000 books in publications such as the Dallas Morning News, High Country News, Los Angeles Times, and the Minneapolis Star Tribune. All right, Jenny, you ready to tell us about the second book today?
I am ready. This book I want to recommend to you is Passage West. It came out in April, and it's a great read for anyone that needs to be transported out of their current situation and go to another time and place. And I don't know why that would be, but this is the book that will do it for you. It's just a fascinating setting and time period. It's set in the Imperial Valley in California, which I actually hadn't heard of before this, but because I've heard of the Central Valley where most of the agriculture is done, but there's another valley way down south on the border of California where it's also an agricultural region, but it's desert climate, so it has to have very special agricultural techniques. And this book takes place mainly between the years of 1913 and 1924. And she tells the story of a group of settlers from India who come together in California, and they build this prosperous farming operation there in the Imperial Valley. And they manage to do it because one of the main characters, Ram Singh, who comes to America when he's 21, he has special techniques for irrigation that he derived from working on his uncle's land in India. So he's used to the conditions, and they figure out how to grow cantaloupes, cotton, and lettuce based on these Indian techniques that they're using. And it's just a beautiful book. It's full of vivid descriptions of the atmosphere, and the characters each become very distinct, and their rivalries are very interesting. I want to read a passage just to show you what it's like, the landscape that she describes. This is so Ram Singh, he was always wanting to just get back home to his wife, but Herrick convinces him to stay because he needs him to teach him these techniques to farm the land. And so Ram Singh, it's always delayed. His return to his wife is always delayed because he has to make more money, or he has to help the other guys with the farm. So it's like an interrupted love story in combination with this really interesting agricultural thriller, if you could have an agricultural thriller, but there's all kinds of rivalries, so things like that come into it. So here's a passage from Ram's perspective. They stood at the corner of an alfalfa field that lay in neat strips of vibrant green and dirt brown. On one side of the road, it just traveled. On the other side, sand and scrub that stretched uninterrupted to the west. I'm going to skip down to here to where he sees the land looking like the land he's used to in India. If he looked past Carrick's Dastar, past a sparse cluster of trees, he would see his uncle's farm near the edge of the lower Chenab Canal, water running from the Himalayan snow and shivalik rains, thundering, tremendous, toward the Indus River and the Arabian Sea. At the southeast corner of his uncle's land stood the same mesquite tree that sheltered tired travelers. So he's looking at the land of California and seeing how it's like his homeland. So I learned so much from this book. I didn't know about early Indian immigrants to the West. I've read a lot of Western fiction. I used to have a job at New West where I just wrote all about fiction and nonfiction set in the West. And I read a bunch of books about Chinese immigrants in the West, but I had never encountered one about Indian immigrants. And it was really interesting. You learn a lot, even though you're caught up in the story, you learn a lot about how California passed these exclusion laws that made it so that Asian people couldn't own land in California. And for a while, the Indian people, it didn't apply to them. But then they were like, are they white? Are they not white? And after a little while, they decided that Indians were not white and couldn't have land either. So she covers this kind of period of time and laws that I didn't know about. And I think it's also interesting how she covers how immigrants from Japan and from India were some of the ones that pioneered these techniques of raising cantaloupes and lettuce and cotton that everyone went on to use for the rest of the time. But it's not all about, that's kind of going on in the background. In the foreground, there's all these like love stories and rivalries and murder. So, so it's a really good read, and you kind of get informed while you're in the story. And I just think it's a great book to read now to take you somewhere else and have a really great adventure.